everyone, it's Emily. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for tuning in today. This video is going to be another installment of me featuring smaller brands on my channel. Last time you seemed to like it when I did the Hans Skincare Cosmetics review, and if you want to see that, I'll link it up in the cards. But today we are going to be featuring another brand that is smaller, and I love doing these videos for you guys because it's a way for me to be very selective of things that I purchase for beauty products and to show you some brands maybe you haven't heard of or haven't seen much on YouTube. There's so many videos about Urban Decay, Too Faced, Tarte, Lancome. You know, there's so many brands that are featured here, but I want to showcase some small independent companies that are just maybe don't have the funds to send out a ton of PR. And so these are things that I have purchased myself. This video is going to be about Aether Beauty, and this is the palette that I have, and is the Crystal Grid Gemstone palette. Before I do my review, I just want to read a few things about the company and about the product, and then I'll go into the review and the demo and the swatches and all that such. So let's just get started. So first off, about the brand itself, it is a women-owned company, and they have all fair trade ingredients, all really great clean ingredients going into all of the cosmetics. Currently they only have 3 eyeshadow palettes, but hopefully they expand. And one really cool thing about this brand is that they're trying to be zero waste, which is amazing because a lot of times, I mean, us consumers are trying to be zero waste, but there's been so much packaging and just waste happening in the production aspect of it. So I really think it's cool that they are thinking about sustainability in the production of these products. Again, they are all fair trade, vegan, and cruelty-free. A little bit about this palette is that it is 12 eyeshadows, and it is the Gemstone palette, so each shadow is actually infused with the crystal that it mentions. So diamond has diamond in there, amethyst has amethyst, which is really, really cool that they actually use the gem that they named it after. Some highlighted ingredients, we have coconut oil, moringa oil, which is rich in vitamin C, rosehip oil, which is to help support radiant looking glowing skin, and then it is also gluten-free, which is really cool. And one of the best things about this palette and why a lot of people are raving about it is that it's completely zero waste. So there are no pans in here, there are just shadows in here, there's no mirror to avoid that type of waste, there's no elastic in here, it's actually biodegradable. So these are the 12 shades. Hopefully it's coming out okay on camera, but they are all gemstones. So you have a lot of golds and you have a lot of blues. One thing I have noticed about this palette that some colors look very similar to others. So even though there's 12 shades, when you blend it out, they sometimes look similar. For example, amethyst and sapphire, even though amethyst has more purple in it, when you blend it out, it turns into kind of like a navy color. If you pack it on like with a stencil brush, you definitely get more of that purple, but if you're trying to do any type of blending, it does kind of geared towards blue. Also the color tourmaline, which is this gray, can sometimes look a little blue as well. We also have recharge, which is this one here, which kind of looks similar too. So there are quite a few blues, but once you blend them, they kind of all look very similar. So that's something to mention. So if you're not into blue eyeshadows, this may not be for you, but it is hard to find pigments for eyeshadows in sustainable packaging and all natural and all vegan that are this vibrant in all their colors besides like shades of brown. So there is that. There's also a lot of golds in here. We have this one over here, which is a little bit more green gold compared to this one, which is a little more yellow gold, but then you also have this gold here. So as far as the variety of shades, it isn't really the best because once you blend them together, there's only so many looks you can make with this palette. When I first started using this palette, it was very difficult to use. It was very patchy, none of the colors blended well, none of them showed up very well. It would take layers and layers and layers for it to work, and I could not understand how to get this palette to work. It was really frustrating, and I really wanted it to work because it's a really cool concept. And I was thinking, I wonder if other people are having the same issue, because I've been trying to test this palette for months. And every single time I get discouraged, I take it off because it just doesn't look right. I try to use it with other colors because since these are all gemstones, they all have like a shimmer aspect. So I do like to have a matte palette to be with it, so that way I can create more of a fuller look without having to use all shimmers. But I just never loved the formula. It was just very patchy. It was pretty much the worst eyeshadow formula I've ever used, and I couldn't understand how to use it. So I went on Sephora.com to see their reviews, and it had 5 stars. Every single review was raving about how pigmented, how easy it is, how smooth, and I'm like, what am I doing wrong? I've had this for over a month and I couldn't figure out how to use it. The shadows just weren't working for me. I thought maybe if I used it with a primer, worse with a primer, by the way. Definitely used it on its own. It was more patchy. It did not work out with an eyeshadow primer. So I just had a lot of difficulty, and seeing that everyone else loved this palette, I was like, I'm doing something wrong. So I went onto the Petit Vour website, which is where I initially purchased it. And in their description, it says you can use it either wet or dry. And I thought, I haven't used it wet yet. And so that was the magical key. I dampened my brush, put it in, and it was like night and day. Now I did a little clip of me doing this eye look today, and at first on this eye, I only used my brush dry, and then I used my brush damp on this side. A totally different outcome. It was very smooth, it was very easy, it was pigmented, it was buttery, it was everything that they were saying, but when I used it dry, I didn't have that same result. And you can see it on the video. I hope you can see it on the video because it was just night and day. And I only used 2 shades for this look today, just to make it super simple, because I don't like having all shimmer on the eyes. On the Sephora website, they have like little videos of different looks you can do, and they do use it for like the full look to have like an all shimmer multicolored eye, which is cool. It's not my style, so I do use this with another palette. However, once I figured out how to make it work, which is using a damp brush, it was a complete game changer. I love using this palette now. And even the colors that blended similarly, once you use a damp brush, the other colors come out. So for example, when I use Amethyst with a damp brush, you actually see more of that purple hue come through, versus when I used it dry, it was more blue. Same with the other colors, I feel like a little bit more of the undertones kind of peek through with a damp brush. So it's like, it completely changed the formula for me, so that is definitely a tip if you're interested in this palette. So pros and cons. Con is, it is really difficult to use dry. It did not work out for me. Maybe it's just me, maybe it's just my eyelids, I don't know. I don't typically have oily eyelids, maybe that would work better, I don't know. But as far as only using it dry, it definitely didn't work. But having to always use it damp with a damp brush would make it a really time-consuming product. It is also all shimmer, which if you're about that life and having all shimmer on your eyes, this would be a great palette, but it's definitely more of a companion palette to something else because it doesn't have any mattes in here. Also, the color selection, even if you had a damp and you can get a little bit more of that purple and the little different undertones of the colors, you pretty much end up with a whole bunch of different golds and blues, and that's just not a huge variety for the price point. And as far as the price point, it is kind of expensive. Now I do know, since it is fair trade and it has all like the lovely sustainable aspects of this palette, it's going to cost more. But it's kind of pricey for only having a little bit of variety. Now, as far as the pros, one, the packaging, it's zero waste, which is amazing. And the quality of the shadows is good once you dampen your brush. And if you are looking for a zero waste option with like fair trade ingredients with different colors other than browns, it does have that bonus. And it is a good companion palette for other things. So if I want like a really nice pop of gold, I have a palette to go to. Same with the blues, I have one to go to, but it's a little bit time consuming. I definitely wouldn't travel with it, and I'm hesitant to recommend it just because there are so many cons. I don't know if it would make up for the price point. But if you're looking for a zero waste, really fun palette to use, and you don't mind using it with a damp brush, then I do like it. So it's up to you whether or not you think it would be worth it for you. But for me, I'm happy that I have it, but I probably wouldn't go out and repurchase it. Or if I could go back in time, I probably wouldn't have picked it up just because it was a really long learning curve. I mean, I've been using this for at least 6 to 7 weeks. And it took me like 4 weeks to figure out how to get these shadows to work. So that is my final verdict on this palette. I do know they have 2 other palettes, both in the neutrals, rosy gold type of category. I don't plan on purchasing those just because I had such an issue with this one. So that is my review on this palette. What do you think of it? Do you like it? Do you not? Is this something that's up your alley? Is there anything else you want me to try? Let me know. I already have a lot of things in the works currently, so I hope you like these videos because I have some things that I'm working on right now. But thank you so much for coming by today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.